Hey, it's Derek from Ideal Body, and this video is all about what really makes us fat. All right, let's get into it. All right, so what really makes us fat? It's not what a lot of people think. A lot of people think what makes us fat is, a lack of willpower, not having any control over your eating, so just eating a lot of, fatty foods. Well, that's part of it, but what really makes us fat is our hormones, and unfortunately, we don't have control over them. So there's basically two groups of people in this world, people that are insulin resistant and people who are not. So if you're not insulin resistant, that basically means you can eat whatever you want and not gain a single ounce. I've had friends, I have roommates to this day that are in their 30s, 40s, 50 years old that can still eat whatever they want and not gain an ounce. I know it's infuriating. It makes me mad every single time that I'm eating healthy and they're eating McDonald's or whatever, but their body releases insulin in a way that it doesn't get stored as fat because they don't release a lot of it. So insulin is a storage hormone, and a lot of us end up releasing way more than we need when we eat. So the simplest way to figure out if you're insulin resistant is look down and see if you have a lot of fat around your stomach. I know that sounds kind of mean, but that's the truth in that if you do, that means your body is likely releasing a lot more insulin than it needs when it eats food. And the latest research shows that about 80% of us are insulin resistant. I know I was before I kind of got control over what I was eating and putting into my mouth. So being able to manage and regulate your hormones through what you eat is what's going to help you either burn fat or make you store more fat. So doing that and eating more healthier, higher fat foods cuts down on the insulin, so you start burning more fat instead of storing more fat, and then cutting out the higher carb, the higher processed foods, the grains, the sugars, even things that most people think are healthy, like rice and potatoes and quinoa and all these fancy grains. A lot of them sound healthy and they are trying to be marketed as healthy, but when you end up eating them, your body releases a ton of insulin, and then most of it ends up getting stored as fat, and a very small amount of it ends up getting burned up for energy. So what you want to do is use more of the foods you eat to be used for energy. So the way it works is in your body, you have two energy sources, fat and sugar. So the only way you get energy basically is through what you eat, and it either gets broken down into sugar or it's just a fatty food and it's used as fat in the body. So you only have a very small amount of sugar that your body can use. Once it burns through all of that, it starts going to your fat. The problem is a lot of people eat a ton of sugar and a ton of foods that get turned into sugar in your body, so you have just all this extra spillover sugar that your body doesn't know what to do with, and it ends up getting stored as fat in your cells. So cutting down on the high sugar, high carb foods that are processed is the fastest and easy way to start losing weight, and that's one of the main things that really makes us fat. Now, another thing that makes us fat is a lack of movement. Now, I'm on the other side of the fence here, where I'm not one of those guys who says you have to exercise for at least an hour every single day, or you need to weight lift 3 times a week, and you need to get cardio in 3 times a week, and all this stuff that's just kind of overload and overwhelm. I'm on the exact opposite side of that, where what you eat and how you what you eat and what you put into your body is way more important than the exercise when it comes to losing weight and burning fat. But a lack of movement is what really puts a lot of people back. We're sitting at our desks every single day at work. After work, you got to go home, take care of your kids, get dinner on the table. You're not super motivated to go exercise. You're also not super motivated to go exercise first thing in the morning when you wake up. Like, who wants to get out of bed at 6 o'clock and just throw on their gym clothes and head to the gym with a huge smile on their face? Nobody does that, right? So it's this lack of movement that we do. And the way you can fix that is just, first of all, start doing more things that you enjoy doing. Don't think of it as, I got to get a workout in today. Think of it as, I can go walk my dog today. I can go, ride my bike to work, or I can go play basketball, or I can, go do something with my friends. I can go for a hike. Don't start thinking, okay, got to hit the weights 3 times this week, got to get to the gym, got to do that sprint workout. You're not going to stick with it if you hate doing it. So the lack of movement is a big problem. So just start doing more things that you enjoy doing, because then it's not like work, it's just fun and stuff that you're actually going to do long term. The next thing I'm going to talk about is what a lot of people don't talk about, especially nutritionists and diet gurus and all these people don't really talk about this because it goes a little bit deeper, and that's our emotional attachments to food. So I could sit here and tell you all the foods not to eat. You probably know most of the foods not to eat. You know that you probably shouldn't have a huge bowl of ice cream every night. You probably know you shouldn't have fast food every single day, yet those are still multi-billion-dollar industries because people keep eating them. So it's not that you don't know what to eat, it's the attachments you have to food. So a lot of people rely on food for comfort, for happiness. They're bored, so they start eating. They have all these other reasons why they're eating, and it's usually not just for hunger. Food was meant to be an energy source, so you eat until you're full and you have the energy, and then you don't eat until you're hungry again. Nowadays, people just usually eat all day long, and it's because of these emotional attachments to food. I know people who still eat, macaroni and cheese and, big baked potato and things like that, and it's not that they love those foods, although they enjoy them, it's because it reminds them of their youth. It reminds them growing up as a kid, coming home from piano practice and, getting McDonald's after piano practice every Wednesday. Like, it's these emotional attachments people have to food, and it gives them a feeling that they're looking for. So it's not the food, it's the feeling that it gives them. So when you start looking at why you're eating all these foods, why can you not stop eating the foods that are making you sicker, that are getting you on all these medications, that are making you fatter? You can visibly see that it's making you fatter, yet you can't stop eating them. They do have addictive ingredients in them, but it's usually an emotional attachment. It gives you a feeling of warmth, of comfort, of safety, of certainty in your life that you want, that people crave. The thing is, you can get those feelings from other things instead of food, and when you start actually realizing that and start looking at that for what it is, that's when you can start breaking these attachments. For me personally, I had a big attachment and addiction to like diet soda and drinks. So I'd wake up in the morning, I have like one of those, strawberry Crystal Light drinks or whatever, or grape, you pour the powder in and mix it in with some water. I'd have one of those like first thing in the morning because my mouth was dry and I wanted some flavor. I'd have diet sodas throughout the day. And the reason why I did it was because over the years, I've become, really good at eating healthy, at exercising, at cutting out, certain foods that weren't good for me. And I just wanted that one thing that like still tasted really good, that I could still hang on to. Like, I didn't want to give up everything because I thought it was so unfair that I had to give up everything. And then my friend over here is eating whatever he wants and he weighs, 40 pounds less than I do. So I just had this attachment that I just wanted to hang on to that one thing that still kind of gave me that feeling of like sweetness and satisfying in my mouth. But then when I started doing the research on what it actually does to your body, and I started putting ahead of that sweetness or that flavor that I wanted, I started putting ahead of that the results that I wanted. That's when I started making the shift until I started cutting them out of my diet altogether. So the emotional attachments you have to food are one of the things that's holding you back. You already know what's not healthy. You already know what you're eating that's not good for you. So the next step is realizing why you're still eating it and what you can replace what you can put in place of those foods to start getting the results you want without relying on going to the pizza every night or the cake or the brownies or anything like that. All right, and the last tip I have for you on what really is making us fat is people who kind of give up and they blame their genetics and they blame, they say, my parents look a certain way, my grandparents do, there's a history of this in our family, everyone's overweight, everyone's big boned, and that just, when you label yourself that, you stop taking action. You start just feeling kind of sorry for yourself. And you start thinking, nothing I can do was ever going to change. Everything I've tried has never worked. I've tried all these low-calorie diets. None of it ever works. And then it kind of just puts you in this mode where you just kind of stop taking action. You start staying still. And then the weight keeps on piling on more. Your health deteriorates more. You're on more medications. So when you start looking at what really is true, which is you can make as many changes as you want. Nobody is destined to be fat for the rest of your life. Nobody can eat a certain way that's extremely healthy for you and just be fat for the rest of your life. It's not like that. So your body doesn't work like that. So when you start getting over those things and start, looking at it, I can do this. I want to start taking small steps. I can do it. Once you start doing that, you'll start progressing and moving forward, and you won't be stuck in this cycle where you just are frustrated and fed up and nothing is ever working for you. So once you get over that, feeling of, nothing's ever going to work for me, nothing has ever worked for me, why even try anymore? Once you start getting over that and start focusing on what you really want and start taking small steps towards that, that's when you're going to start getting some awesome results. So to recap, what really is making us fat? First of all, it's the food that we're eating and how our hormones respond to that food. Everybody's hormones are different. That's why there's not one size fits all diet for everybody. And some people can eat whatever they want and not gain a single pound. Some people can eat relatively healthy and still gain weight because their body's hormones reacts to those foods differently. So once you start realizing how the food that you're eating is being processed in your body, and if it's not working for you or if it is, start doing more of what is working for you and start cutting out the stuff that hasn't been working for you that you've been doing for the last 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, things like that. The second thing is the lack of movement. So just start moving around. It doesn't have to be these super intense workouts. It doesn't have to be a workout at all. It can be something fun. It can be going out for a walk with your husband or your wife. It can be walking the dog. It can be going for a run, playing some basketball, going for a bike ride. It doesn't matter. Just start moving. You start feeling better. Start getting more energized. And that energy will take it over to what your food choices are and just how often you start moving and exercising. Number 3 is the emotional attachments we all have to food. They are the hardest thing to get rid of. You want to hang on to them for dear life because they make you feel good. They give you a sense of warmth, of comfort, of safety, of security. But once you start realizing that they're doing way more harm than good, that those feelings can be getting from somewhere else other than food, that's when you start breaking this addiction cycle you have to eating these foods that are not healthy for you, and you can start eating what's going to get you to the results that you want. And number 4 is just start getting out of the zone of My parents were this way. We're all big bone. We're all husky. It's just the way we are. Nothing's ever going to change. That is not true. You can change whenever you want, whenever you decide to actually make a change in your life. So get out of that mindset. Get out of that thinking. I'm not going to say it's going to happen overnight. It might take you a while. But once you start just realizing and believing in yourself that you can do it, that's when you're going to start taking the steps to move forward to what you really want, and you're going to realize that it's a lot easier than you actually thought in the first place. So if you like this video and want to get a free gift on how to triple your fat burning overnight without exercise, just go ahead and click the link in the description below. Let me know your best email address and I'll send it over to you 100% free. Just my way of saying thank you for watching this video. And if you like this video, go ahead and click the like button below. Comment below with anything you want me to cover in future videos. And don't forget to subscribe because I'm shooting new videos every single week to help you burn more fat and lose more weight quickly and easily.